Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows, episode 531, Velvet Thunder. For those who know Brooklyn Nine-Nine, you'll know what that's referring to. Those who do not, I will talk about that in a second. It is Saturday, December 16th, so it is 8 days to Christmas Eve, 9 days to Christmas. So we're in the tail end of the holiday season right now. 1 week really to go for everybody. And then it's off for vacation for most people. I got to go back to work day after Christmas. They call that Boxing Day. But before we do that, I got to do this episode. And I got to do another episode on the 23rd, day before Christmas Eve. So I'll have no Christmas episode this week. I'll have a pre-Christmas episode next week. But this is, as I said, episode 531, Velvet Thunder. Major death this week, which we're going to talk about. I'm going to eulogize Mr. Andre Braugher. Lots of nominations. It's award season is underway, so lots of nominations. I'm going to try to read off a bunch of those. One of my least favorite people in the world is getting shellacked right now, and I'm very happy. Call it Schadenfreude or whatever, but that's the truth of the matter. Some new trailers popped up. A lot of NFL news this week. Shows ending, people retiring, new casting, word of the year, Joe Flacco, new shows, Christmas horror movies. It's a lot of stuff. Anyway, usually around this time of the year, Mountain Dew does a holiday drink, but they're not doing one. They released two Gamer Fuels that came out last month, but hadn't really made their way down to Maryland until I just saw one today, or rather the other day, I should say. Mystic Punch, which is a purple Mountain Dew fruit punch flavor. And I haven't tried it yet, so here's my first chance to try it. Live, like I always do. Doesn't really smell much. It's okay. It's not fruit punch. It's fruit punchy, but it seems more like a tropical fruit punch to me. There's definite tropical taste to it. I mean, it's all right. I don't know if I get a 6-pack of it. Yeah, the after flavor is just like a what is that? What is that fruit? Like a mango sort of flavor. So not really a fruit punch so much. I mean, it's called Mystic Punch and it's a fruit punch flavor, but I really think it's a tropical fruit punch flavor, which I'm not a big fan of. So it's all right. Doesn't matter. I got Voltage, which is the best one today at the grocery store. So we're good. So it's all right. So Mystic Punch, okay. Out of 10, I'd probably give it a 5. 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 maybe. It's not great. Anyway, before we get to the big news of the day, let's hit some of this other stuff here. Beverly Hills Cop 4 has now gotten a new name called Axel F. And we got our first trailer for it. We don't have a date for it yet, sometime next year. But we got our first trailer of it, and it looks pretty good, actually. Much better than that awful Beverly Hills Cop 3. But we get shots of Paul Reiser's going to look like he's got a big role in it. Kevin Bacon is in it. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in it. So we got some big roles for them. Also, John Ashton and Judge Reinhold and Bronson Pinchot all make reappearances in it as well. And in fact, the last scene in the trailer between John Ashton, Judge Reinhold, and Eddie Murphy is very reminiscent of the old school Beverly Hills Cop, and I really enjoyed it. Looks action packed. Looks got some comedy in it, but it looks like it's got a lot more violence and more action oriented stuff that just can be pretty cool. So we'll see what happens. It'll come out next year, and I'm definitely going to see it because it actually looks enticing. So if you haven't seen it yet, type in Beverly Hills Cop 4 or Axel F, as it's now known as, and we'll take it from there. Did not know anything about this movie till I saw the trailer for it earlier this week, and I watched the trailer again as I'm prepping for this. Is like, this looks kind of more interesting than I thought it would. The trailer for the American Society of Magical Negroes is due out March 22nd. Stars Justice Smith and David Allen Greer. And basically, you know, the cliche of the magical Negro in lots of these movies who, you know, a white man is having issues and a black man comes and helps him through his issues and stuff like that, while helping hit the white savior or whatever. This has a little inkling of that, and also of actual magic, like Harry Potter magic sort of style to it. And it looks like that David Allen Greer looks like he's one of the big wigs of one of the heads of the American Society of Magical Negroes, and he's recruiting this young guy to come in and gets him a job. Yeah, there's regular magic to it. Gets him a job at this business to help a white guy, and their boss is a female. He ends up, the black guy ends up falling in love with him, but it's his job to get the woman to fall in love with the white guy. So it looks kind of interesting. Actually, to be honest, March 22nd might not be a bad one to check out. And it is an actual name of a movie, the American Society of Magical Negroes. And there's a joke in it about that, like the new guys, like, maybe we should change it, like, to the American Society of Magical Black People or something like that. And he was like, yeah, it doesn't roll off the tongue well, does it? So it looks interesting. It looks like definitely unique and interesting as well. Oh, Haiku, that's right. During COVID 2020, my wife and daughter read everything they could with Haiku, the volleyball manga. And then they released an anime of it, and they watched most of the stuff during COVID and the year after. And then they released the season 4 a couple years ago. They have not released an American dub yet because the American dub voice actors are really, really funny. So they have not released that yet. And I don't think they're going to. They do have a Japanese version of it. And then instead of a 5th season, they're going to make 2 movies to wrap up the Haiku saga. And the first trailer for the first Haiku movie popped up this week. It's due out February 16th in Japan, with no date in the United States yet. But as you'll find out later in the show, Japanese imports are actually doing extraordinarily well here in the United States. So it might be a good idea to drop that in here sooner than later. ABC is reviving the Saturday morning cartoon with a cartoon called Taxi Drivers, not a cartoon based on Robert De Niro character, but just like a anthology sort of thing about a taxi driver goes and helps people and you learn stuff. But it's done in Saturday morning cartoon style, and I guess it's available on Saturday mornings and ABCs because Saturday morning cartoons really no longer exist here in the world. That was something that happened when I was older. So the fact that they're coming up with one is pretty interesting. Slimer, the fan favorite ghost, who really didn't become a fan favorite till the real Ghostbusters animated cartoon, but he popped up in the first 2 Ghostbusters one, but did not pop up in the third Ghostbusters Afterlife. No, never fear. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is going to have an appearance by Slimer. So we will be seeing him in the new movie coming out in February, I believe. Curb Your Enthusiasm, Larry David's shows end after its next season, which would be season 12. He is finishing up his run, and he's done and tired and moving on. Melissa Joan Hart, who played Clarissa Explains It All and Sabrina the Teenage Witch, at the age of 47, has been cast as a grandmother in a Hallmark Christmas movie. So it seems kind of odd that a 47-year-old could be a grandmother, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities, particularly if she had a child when she was young, like that the character has anyway. But it made the news, and it's an intriguing thing to look at as well. Football stuff. Teddy Bridgewater to retire. He was a pretty good quarterback for a while. Never really was a star, but had some good moments here and there. He'll be retiring at the end of the season. Tom Brady will be getting roasted. Comedy roast as always, and it's always going to be good to see them. People making fun of Tom Brady, even though it's all done tongue-in-cheek sort of stuff, but he'll be getting roasted, which is great. Jake Browning and the Bengals had a game today against the Vikings, and they won in overtime. And as soon as he won the game, after he got off the field, he got a text from the NFL office saying you are needed for a drug test. And that seems to happen after someone who you don't expect has a big game all of a sudden has a big game. And the joke is that this is not an unusual occurrence, that it does happen more often than not, that the NFL texts you and says, hey, you've got a a drug test coming up here. So that's kind of an interesting little thing. Y'all know my hatred of Zack Snyder. He is the Donald Trump of film directors. I'm not going to go into whole detail about that. And I'm going to enjoy a little bit of Schadenfreude here. But his movie that all these, CBR and Joe Blow and all that stuff who gobble his knob all the time and just write story after story after story about him, because despite the fact that he is a piece of shit, we're writing nothing about his new Netflix movie, Rebel Moon, which is a part 1 of 2. And also he's got 3 other director's cuts available also, which he's going to release later on. It's just like, well, if you're on Netflix, why not just release the director's cut now and not do a separate cut and call it a director's cut? And also it is only going to be dropped in theaters for a very limited run. Like it's only going to be like in 2 theaters, because they know this movie sucks. And the results are in. Last I saw, 22 reviews of it have called it an absolute terrible movie, one of the worst movies of the year. I'm not making this up. This is all true. It presently has a 9% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, which I've been very critical of lately, because they tend not to erase the toxic people who review bomb stuff. But maybe Snyder's tribe has not review bombed it yet, or maybe Rotten Tomatoes is living up to their potential of cutting down on the review bombing. That could explain why Captain Marvel's Rotten Tomato numbers are actually a lot better than people were expecting it to be, because they hate everything Marvel and Brie Larson as well. But that's another story as well. But it is getting absolutely savaged everywhere, though CBR and Joe Blow are still salivating on his cock about how great it is. And we'll see when it actually debuts later this week how it does. But right now, it's just happy to see that a lot of people are absolutely hating it and despising the movie. So I hope that continues. A couple of deaths here real quick. Kenpachiro Satsuma, who is a suit actor for Godzilla in the Heisei series, died at the age of 76 this week. And Steve Junker, an NFL tight end, died at the age of 88 this week as well. Now comes the big sad part. My daughter's birthday was on Tuesday, and we had gone out to dinner at the Cheesecake Factory. Had a nice dinner, and we went out. And actually, we went out to dinner. So when we came back, we got in the house. First thing I want to do is check the internet or whichever, just to check, just this, because that's what you do now. You're just attached to your phone now, and the news of Andre Braugher's death popped up almost immediately. Andre Braugher was an actor, age 61 years old, died of lung cancer. He is best known for 2 roles, but he's done a whole lot more than that. He's mostly remembered here in Baltimore and Maryland as Detective Pembleton from Homicide: Life on the Street, the TV show that lasted about 6-7 seasons. Filmed in Baltimore. Andre Braugher was the star of that show, got multiple Emmys for the role of Pembleton. And whenever I was thinking of Andre Braugher, I would always think of Pembleton because he was so good in the role. But then a funny thing happened. As he got older, he decided to switch gears and go back to police work, but this time in the comedy Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where he played Captain Holt, I believe. Yes, Captain Holt, who was one of the funniest and one of the best characters of the Brooklyn Nine-Nine ensemble. And to see Andre Braugher play a comedic role after seeing him play this hugely dramatic role absolutely shows the range that he had. He starred in another show, Men of a Certain Age, also, which I think was on HBO or something like that, with Scott Bakula and Ray Romano. And heard that was a pretty good one also, which is sort of a good segue because it was a drama comedy. So you got a little drama and comedy in there. He also worked in movies. He was in Glory at an early age. He worked with Gregory Hoblit in a couple movies, Frequency and Primal Fear. He was in those. He was also in City of Angels, the remake of the Angel movie. I forget what it was called. That was filmed in Germany. He also was in Fantastic Four 2. That's the old Fantastic Four series, where he played a general faced off against Silver Surfer. He was in Spike Lee's movie Get on the Bus, where he played for the first time ever a homosexual character. And I bring that up because Captain Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine was also a homosexual also, and was done like he was a normal person. He just happened to be homosexual also. He had a husband and he had a dog. And he was very well dressed, but he still had sort of that intense Andre Braugher-ness to him, but he was able to add a layer of comedy to that. So I worked with him. I've done 2 jobs as homicide extras for the TV show Homicide. When I filmed in Baltimore, I did an extra job twice for them. I've already talked about the one before where I worked with Neil Patrick Harris and also Clark Johnson, who was the director of the episode, was also played Meldrick Lewis on the show. So that was kind of a neat story. But my first time ever doing extra work for Homicide was in a scene with Kyle Secor and Andre Braugher. So it takes place in Naval Academy, but of course they weren't going to let a TV show film on the Naval Academy grounds. So there's a college right there in Annapolis also called St. John's, something like that, that has a very similar look to the Naval Academy. So we filmed there instead. And in the scene that I was in, Andre Braugher and Kyle Secor are talking to someone at the Naval Academy outside, and we walk by. Me and like 2 other guys walk by in formation to show that's like this Naval Academy and stuff like that to set the scene. So walked by him and Kyle Secor a bunch of times, and then when we broke for lunch, Andre Braugher went back to his trailer, and Kyle Secor came out and hung out with us at the cafeteria area and stuff like that. And then they were done for the most part. After lunch, they were done, and so they just wanted to get some more pickup stuff. So we did a few more scenes on the grounds, and then that was it. Nothing of that was used. The sequence that took place at the Naval Academy was literally about 5 seconds of film, which just showed Andre Braugher and Kyle Secor talking to somebody and then cutting to another sequence. But the fact was I was able to do a scene and walk past him. It wasn't quite as clear as day as when I was walking past Neil Patrick Harris, but I can say that I did work with Andre Braugher one time. His Captain Holt was an amazing character, as was Detective Pembleton. And it was a pleasure to see his acting range, and also to see him pop up periodically in these movies when you least expected it. So Andre Braugher passed away at the age of 61 this week due to lung cancer. I was going to have a lot more to say about that, but apparently I don't. How about this for a team up? George Clooney and Adam Sandler will be starring in a new Noah Baumbach movie on Netflix. Now, Noah Baumbach, for those who don't know, was co-writer of the biggest film of the year, Barbie. His wife is Greta Gerwig, who directed and co-wrote Barbie with him. Noah Baumbach is also a director. He's directed 3 other films, including most recently A Marriage Story, which I think was the one with Scarlett Johansson and the guy who played Kylo Ren, and they were divorced, and they both got nominated for Oscars. It was the same year Jojo Rabbit came out, and Scarlett got nominated for that as well. But not much is known about this movie, but it will be on Netflix, and it will be George Clooney and Adam Sandler teaming up. So don't know if it's going to be drama or drama comedy or comedy, or even what the story is about. So more info will present itself, and when it does, we will let you know. The beginning of the week, we got news that Pom Clementine, who played Mantis, and Miriam Sher were going to join James Gunn's Superman Legacy cast movie. And then a few days ago, we got an update with James Gunn himself saying, yeah, none of that's true. I love Pom, and I'd love to work with her, but I have not cast her in Superman Legacy. And same thing as I would love to work with Miriam Sher, and we'll get her into the DCU somehow. But as of now, she has not been cast either. So what started off as a really interesting idea, which could have been cool to think about, has now been reduced to, not going to happen. But I wanted to bring it up as well. Now, speaking of Superman, the super family, I should say, last year, Knives Out, Glass Onion came out on Netflix, and that was a really entertaining movie. And one of the characters in there was and this in her description herself, a gorgeous, big-breasted blonde. The actress's name was Madeline Klein. And she did a really, really good job in the role in Glass Onion. And it is rumored that she is on the short list to play Supergirl. Because remember, in James Gunn's DCU, Supergirl's going to have, I think, her own show, I think. And I think that would be absolutely perfect, because I think Madeline Klein is a very good actress. She's got the look, and I think it'd be a lot of fun to see if that is indeed going to be the case. So we'll find out more about that as the day progresses, or as the months progress, I should say. Ridley Scott just released Napoleon back in November. He's already circled his next project. He is going to be adapting the short story Bomb, which was written by Kevin McMullen. Not much is known about it, but he will be Ridley Scott will be adapting the short story into a movie that he will probably direct as well. Fox orders Murder in a Small Town, TV show that will star Kristen Cruick, who was on Smallville, and is based on the Carl Albee novels. So we got that coming up here soon. Kung Fu Panda 4, first trailer for that came out, due out March 2024. Looks like they're going to be taking on a character by the name of the Chameleon, who can steal people's powers and then turn into them. So that should be interesting. Alexander Skarsgård is set to star in Murderbot, the Apple TV Plus sci-fi series from the directors and creators of American Pie, the Weitz brothers. They've gone on and did more dramatic stuff, but this is kind of an interesting idea. They're going to do that. No Good Deed, Lisa Kudrow and Ray Romano are going to be starring in a new Netflix comedy series. So that's good to see Lisa Kudrow back in front of the camera. John Waters, local guy, director, Pink Flamingos, Hairspray, one of the most iconic people out there, and a really interesting person, is set to play and act. He's not directing, but he's going to act. He's set to play Good Guy Dolls creator on the Chucky TV show on Sci-Fi. So he has been cast as the good boy or good guys dolls creator, I guess the guy who created Chucky. So that could be really, really interesting in the upcoming season here. So that's going to be really, really wild there. Colin Trevorrow, who directed the original Jurassic World, and I think he directed the third one also. I don't think he directed the second one. I think he directed the third one and was supposed to direct the third of the new Star Wars saga, but did not for whatever reason. He has got a sci-fi TV series set up, sci-fi thriller, TV series set up at Amazon Prime called Halcyon. Not much is known about that, but he will be involved with that as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Matt Rife is a Netflix viral comedian who's kind of a douchebag and apparently now is attacking a 6-year-old critic of his work. So I don't really want to get into that, but the guy apparently is one of the biggest douches out there. And now he's attacking a 6-year-old who has criticized his stand-up routine. Vampires of the Velvet Lounge. Hey, Velvet works in there too. Velvet Thunder, which was, by the way, Velvet Thunder was one of Captain Holt, Andre Braugher's catchphrases from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Vampires of the Velvet Lounge is a movie that stars Mira Suvari, who hasn't been seen for a long time, Dee Lochern, Stephen Dorff, and Rosa Salazar. Don't know much about it, but it's going to be coming out here soon. Wonka, the new Timothée Chalamet prequel to the Willy Wonka, the Chocolate Factory, Gene Wilder stuff, is set as of now to make about $35 million this opening weekend, which is decent. It's not a huge smash hit, but it's a decent number, $35 million. Opening is pretty good considering not 2 or 3 years ago people were not going to the movie theaters, so that's pretty cool. So it's good to see it starting to come back a little bit. So we'll get the final numbers for it on Monday, and we'll see if it goes up or down according to that. But right now it looks like it's, according to projections, $35 million, which is not a bad opening weekend for it. Let's see what else. What else? My new favorite crush. Sorry, Sarah Michelle Gellar, you've been relegated to number 2. My new favorite crush is Anne Hathaway. And she did an interview this week because she's promoting her movie Eileen, which is funny. It's being released very sporadically. The AMC Theater over here in Owings Mills has one showing of it. And it's like at 9:30 in the morning or something like that, which pissed me off because I kind of want to see it because I'm in a Anne Hathaway mood right now. But during this interview, she dropped 2 big bombs. One, she was set to be cast as the Black Cat in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4. I think she would have been phenomenal in that. But once that movie got canceled, she ended up picking up as Catwoman in Christopher Nolan's Batman movie, where she did a great job in that as well. I love you, Anne. I love you more than you know, but I think Michelle Pfeiffer is still my favorite Catwoman, but you were a really good second, and I really liked you a lot. I think you could have gone a little bit more Catwoman-y, but you did a fantastic job, and I love you. But yeah, she would have been, I think, a pretty good Black Cat also, because she can be sensual and sexual and stuff like that. And also, apparently, she was set up to do a Barbie movie years before Margot Robbie was, but it was not going to be in any way, shape, or form like the Barbie movie we saw with Margot Robbie. And Anne Hathaway during his interviews, like, thank God that we didn't do the Barbie movie that I was set to star in, because in retrospect, it wasn't that good. And she goes on to talk about how great Margot Robbie was in it. So it's great to see her also backing up, her buddies. And then, of course, because today of all days, I have just a numerous story ideas just pop into me. I have one for a movie series to star Anne Hathaway and Margot Robbie, along with the other luscious Sydney Sweeney and Elizabeth Olsen and Nev Campbell. So I had a really good idea for that. And then I had another idea for something that me and a couple friends I used to work with at Diamond can do a show together, even though none of us are actors except for me. And I'm very limited. You can't really call myself an actor, but I had these ideas today and they're insane. So I like them. So yeah, so the luscious, gorgeous, amazing Anne Hathaway could have been Black Cat and Barbie. And we're never going to see either. Riz is the word of the year, and my kids use it all the time. It is short for charisma. So if you have Riz, you have charisma. Yeah, it's also the dictionary also made it an official word also. So Riz is your word of the year. It's funny when my son plays video games with his friend and they use that term. I make fun of them and I use it also. And my son was like, "Do you even know what that means?" It's like, "Yeah, I do, son. I do." And I tell him, he's like, "Oh, okay." Pokemon. It is Pokemon Community Weekend. December, they always release all the Community Day Pokemon that came out over the year, over a 2-day period. So for those who missed it, they can come and still catch them now, shinies and special moves, stuff like that. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about, and also I should say, the Pokemon Christmas event is set to start up, I guess, on Tuesday. So that'll be fun too. It's always good to see that. And then we have a great raid weekend on the 23rd. So I'm excited for that also. So there's a lot of cool stuff happening in Pokemon right now. But on Netflix, Pokemon Concierge is set to debut on December 28th, which is sort of the stop motion Pokemon show that's going to be on Netflix now. And I've seen the trailer for it. It's kind of interesting. Talk about some space stuff. First up, in real space, lighthouses on the moon is in the future. NASA has said that they are hoping to create lighthouses on the moon to light up the moon's surface a little bit better, or light up the night a little bit better, I should say, for any Earthlings who are eventually going to make their way to living on the moon and working on the moon. So I should really see how that actually works. I don't recall the moon being extraordinarily dark due to its reflective light from the sun, but what do I know? I'm not involved with that stuff at all. And then this is a real thing, but it has a supernatural sort of aspect to it. The Black Knight satellite was caught on film passing the ISS. Now, for those who don't know, the Black Knight satellite is a satellite that has been orbiting the Earth for longer than before we sent up satellites into space. So first and foremost, people believe the Black Knight satellite is an alien satellite that has been set up to watch the evolution of the Earth, because it has been working nonstop for centuries, apparently. And I don't know if they've ever tried to approach it. They can't. It doesn't. There's some sort of magnetic thing around. There's some weird stuff surrounding it, which makes it hard to take photos of or whatever. But it's still up there, and they've tried to send stuff to see what it is, because they have no record of it, and they can't get near it. So. Whatever, kind of a neat little thing that there's something like that flying around above us. Some NFL news. Joe Flacco, for those Baltimore Ravens fans, you know that Joe Flacco was our quarterback for a long period of stretch of time before Lamar. His first 6 years with the team, 5 or 6 years with the team, they made the playoffs every year. And Joe won at least one playoff game every year, sometimes two. And then one year he even won the Super Bowl. And after he won the Super Bowl, he signed a massive contract to make him the highest paid quarterback of all time at that time. And then he got injured that year after it, and then had a steady decline with only one playoff appearance, which he did win actually. And then they went into the second round and lost. Then they brought Lamar in, and Joe played for a little while and let Lamar sit on the bench. But then Joe got hurt, and they brought Lamar in, and Lamar came on and took over the role from Joe, and Joe ended up having to play backup. And so at the end of that year, everybody was going to go with he knew the Ravens were going to go with Lamar for their quarterback, so he decided to leave because his contract was up. And he signed a free agent deal with the Denver Broncos because they needed a quarterback after Peyton Manning retired. Joe had a very forgettable season with the Broncos, and the Broncos said, you only get 1 year, you're done. So they released him from the contract, and he signed with the Jets as a backup, came on a few times, won some big games for them, lost some as well, and then was a perennial backup for a while. And then last year when they signed Aaron Rodgers, he was dropped entirely by the Jets. So he'd been just lingering around his house for a while. And then the Cleveland Browns came calling after their quarterback, Deshaun Watson, was gone for the season, and their backups got injured as well. And they brought Joe in, and he's been 1-1. He's played in 2 games so far, 1-1, but he has brought hope, a different mindset to the Cleveland Browns, and the Cleveland Browns players absolutely adore him. The Cleveland fans absolutely love him. He's been rocking about 600 yards over the last 2 games and scoring about 4 or 5 touchdowns. He's also thrown a couple of costly picks, and they've won one and lost one. So, but he's definitely keeping them in the playoff hunt. They are currently 8-5 and have a solid hold on number 5 seed of the playoffs, with 4 games remaining, obviously. So we'll see how the rest of that goes off. They are playing. Who are they playing tomorrow? Yeah, Lions beat the Broncos. So all the Ravens have to do is win, and they're in. So that's good. They're playing the Bears, which should be an easy game for them because the Bears suck. So the Browns are coming on strong. So the Ravens got to keep winning because they're only 2 games up on the Browns. So we'll see what happens with that. So, but the fact is, I like Joe Flacco. I've always liked Joe Flacco. And the fact that he is being loved by the Cleveland community and is being referred to as his elite term multiple times, and not ironically, makes me very happy. And the fact that the win he had last Sunday against Jacksonville was his 100th win in his season, and he has signed a 1-year deal that if he reaches all of his incentives, which means getting to the Super Bowl, he's going to get $4 million. But more than likely, he'll get them to the playoffs, so he'll end up getting about $1 million or $2 million like that. I think it's like $1 million to get to the playoffs, $2 million to get to the championship, and $4 million to win the Super Bowl. Something like that is the tiers, the incentives. So we'll see what happens. But I would love more than anything to see a Ravens-Browns game, Flacco versus Lamar in Baltimore. It won't be unless things totally fall apart for everybody. It will not be the first week of the playoffs. It might be the second or third. I would love to see that. But we still have 4 weeks to go before the playoff stuff goes up. So things can change drastically in those 4 weeks. So we'll see what happens. As of now, the playoffs start today. The Ravens would not play the Browns in the first week because the Ravens would have a bye. They're the number 1 seed right now in Baltimore, or in the AFC, having defeated the Rams in dramatic fashion overtime last week on a punt return touchdown by Tavon Wallace, who hadn't played all year because he's been on injured reserve. So that was really an exciting game. So if the playoffs start today, the Browns would end up, they're the number 5 seed. They would play the number 4 seed, which is right now Jacksonville, who they just beat last week. So it would be a rematch with them. And then, depending on how the other seeds played, I think right now, before the Steelers lost today, I don't know who's jumped in. Let's just say it's the Bengals. So the Bengals are the number 6 seed, and the Colts are number 7 seed. Let's see how that works out. The Colts would have to play the number 2 seed, which is right now the Miami Dolphins, and then the Bengals would have to play the number 3 seed, which is the Kansas City Chiefs. So the only way the Ravens would be able to play the Browns is if the Browns beat Jacksonville and the Chiefs beat the Bengals, because the number 1 seed plays the lowest remaining seed. So if the Browns, who would be the number 5 seed, won their game against Jacksonville, and the Colts and the Bengals both lose their games to the Dolphins and the Chiefs, the Ravens would play the number 5 seed, who'd be the Browns, in the second round of the playoffs. They're the Ravens' first game of the playoffs. The Browns' second. They'd have to travel to Baltimore because Baltimore would have home field advantage. So that would be the only scenario at this moment where that could happen. If the Bengals or the Colts end up beating either the Chiefs or the Dolphins, the Ravens would end up playing either the Bengals or Colts, depending on who the lowest seed was at that point. And the Browns would have to play whoever was left. And if the Browns won that game and the Ravens won their game, the two of them would play in Baltimore for the AFC Championship game to go to the Super Bowl. So those are the only 2 scenarios where there could be a Browns-Ravens playoff game in Baltimore. But as I said, we still have 4 weeks and anything can happen. So we'll find out. Brandon Staley, coach for the Los Angeles Chargers, was fired this week after their Thursday night drubbing by the Las Vegas Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders last week lost a game 3-0 against the Vikings. Yes, that was the score, 3-0. No touchdowns and a field goal that happened at the end of the game. Had the Vikings win that one 3-0. So this week, Las Vegas had to play Los Angeles Chargers on Thursday Night Football. The Las Vegas Raiders won 63-21. They were up 42-0 at halftime. That's 6 touchdowns in one half of football. So after that drubbing and a lot of other questionable stuff as well, Brandon Staley and the GM of the Chargers have been removed, and they're going to be in the process of looking for a new coach. Their new coach could be Bill Belichick, who is been told that he will be released from his contract as head coach of the Patriots after this horrible year they've had. I doubt it'll be Ray Rivera, who is also set to get released from the Washington Commanders at the end of this year also, which makes plenty of sense because the new ownership group is going to want to put their own people in there. And then also Jim Harbaugh, who is the embattled Michigan coach, may well get a chance to play the majors again if the Chargers come calling. So those are some possible landing spots for them. This is kind of an interesting thing that I might have to try out. The Caesar salad hot dog. It's a hot dog that has a Caesar salad on it, romaine lettuce, bacon, the cheese, the Caesar dressing, other stuff as well. It looked pretty good. We'll have to check it out. So we're at that point here in the year, here the last 2 weeks of December, where lots of big movies start getting released. You've got Oscar bait movies that need released for the end of the year, so they can get a chance to be nominated for the Oscars for this year. You've got big budget films that want to take advantage of the Christmas holiday, with kids being off school and some parents being off of work, and having movies come out that were hugely popular that everyone wants to see. I have a lot of these movies that are huge movies that I personally like myself, that have come out in these last this last week alone. All these movies came out. This is just the first set. I got a whole bunch of set for the rest of the episode, so this is just first set one. First up, we have King Kong, the Jackson, the guy who Phil Jackson, but the guy who directed Lord of the Rings, Jackson, I forget his first name, came out 18 years ago. I did not like that movie very much. I saw it with my wife. She didn't like it very much either. It was okay, but it wasn't great. Naomi Watts, Jack Black. It was just kind of very mid, as the kids say also. One of my favorite movies by one of my favorite directors, Tim Burton, Edward Scissorhands, came out 33 years ago this week. Great film, by the way. Another great film by one of my favorite directors, though I think this movie is slightly overrated, though I do like it a lot. Young Frankenstein came out this week, 49 years ago. It's the 50th anniversary is next year. The reason why I find it overrated is because I think Blazing Saddles is a much, much funnier, better Mel Brooks movie that came out around the same time, actually, in 1974, I think. But everybody puts Young Frankenstein ahead of Blazing Saddles, which I find in funny films. They say both are really funny, but they say Young Frankenstein is ahead of Blazing Saddles, which I think is absolutely ridiculous, because I think Blazing Saddles is probably one of the best comedies out there, and Young Frankenstein is just is good. It's funny, but it's not outstanding, Another one of my favorite musicals that no one really knows about, and one of Robin Williams' early roles, Popeye, with Shelley Duvall, who is the absolute picture perfect olive oil. Paul Dooley's in there as well, and it's Richard Libertini. It's such, and what's his face? Oh God, great old actor too. It's not Hume Cronin. I can't remember who it is. It's going to drive me crazy. It's going to drive me absolutely crazy. I can't remember his name. Popeye movie, 1980. There it is. Ray Walston. That's what it is. I got it right before it popped up. Rob Williams, Shelley Duvall, Paul Dooley, Linda Hunt's in it, Ray Walston, Donovan Scott, Richard Libertini, Bill Irwin, Dennis Franz. And it was directed by Robert Altman, Donald Moffat, which surprised the living hell out of me that Robert Altman, who everybody knows and loves, and is a great director in his own right, directed this movie early on, and it is outstanding. It is one of my favorite movies. It is one of my favorite movie musicals, and if you have not seen it yet, you really need to. It is absolutely brilliant. Popeye, 43 years ago this week. Superman, dun, 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 dun. Christopher Reeve, Gene Hackman, Ned Beatty, the original Marlon Brando, the original OG Richard Donner directed, Margot Kidder. Superman movie came out 45 years ago this week. Still a really good Superman movie, and one of the earliest comic book movies out there. Speaking of Robin Williams, Jumanji, his version of it, the original, came out 28 years ago this week. It's actually a very fun, entertaining movie directed by Joe Johnston, who's one of these directors that is very steady at his job and does a lot of good stuff. He did The Rocketeer. He did Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. He did Captain America, the first Avenger. And he's a really good director, very good guy, and he directed Jumanji as well, the original one. Heat also came out 20 years ago this week. Michael Mann's, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, first time ever face-to-face in a movie theater, in a movie. Great scene. If you've never seen the movie, it's a great scene between the two. Also, Val Kilmer, who continues to be an underrated actor, also has an amazing role in this movie as well. Fantastic film, 28 years ago. Came out the same day as Jumanji, apparently. Came up with that. Dude, Where's My Car? Came out 23 years ago. Ashton Kutcher and the guy who played Stifler in the American Pie movies, forget his name, came up with, and then the complete polar opposite of Dude, Where's My Car? Requiem for a Dream with Jennifer Connelly came out 23 years ago, also the same day as that as well, which is an absolute insanity. Those two movies came out on the same day. And finally, I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker, 35 years ago this week. Keenan Ivory Wayans' directorial debut, his parody of blaxploitation flicks. He got like a bunch of blaxploitation actors to reprise their roles, and then had his family come in and do stuff as well. So that's the first set of anniversaries that are out this week. Another set coming up really soon. Doritos has launched a cheese-flavored Spirit, $65 a bottle. So if you would like to have an alcoholic beverage that tastes like cheese, get the Doritos Alcoholic Spirit for $65 a bottle. Don't know where it is, but it's out there somewhere. The If trailer. Ryan Reynolds' summer movie coming up, one of his summer movies up there with Deadpool 3, directed by John Krasinski, who also co-wrote it. Ryan Reynolds has said that him and John have been working on this movie for a while, and they want it to feel like, a live-action Pixar film. The premise is Ryan Reynolds plays a guy who runs a house or maintains a house where imaginary friends go when their kids no longer need them or see them or whatever. And somehow they get loose into the world and they've got to bring them back, something like that. So Krasinski directed it and co-wrote it. He got his wife and a bunch of other of his friend actors to come in and voice some of the imaginary friends, hence the If name of it. So it should be a big hit. It looks interesting. The first trailer for it came out this week. Gudi Gatwa, who plays the new Doctor Who, they released a new trailer for the Christmas special due out on Christmas Day on Disney Plus, which would be his first full episode by himself as the Doctor, and it's outstanding. He looks like he's having a blast, and I really want to see it, and I'm excited for it. On the flip side, we talked about Christmas. Let's talk about horror, Halloween. Christopher Abbott is replacing Ryan Gosling in Blumhouse's Wolfman movie. Apparently, I guess it conflicts now with Ryan Gosling's career, or not his career, but conflicts with it. He has a conflict with it, so they had to cast somebody else. It will be coming in time for Halloween 2024. I don't know what this is, but Death Stranding movie is in development with A24 and Hideo Kojima. I guess maybe it's an anime or manga or something like that. And Hideo Kojima is like the guy who created it. I don't know, but it's up there. Cate Blanchett is going to re-team with Jim Jarmusch, who is a director we haven't seen in a really long time. He's got a new movie coming out called Father, Mother, Sister, Brother that Cate Blanchett will be starring in. I'll be covering these a little later down the line, but Godzilla -1, I did my review last week on it, was named the Critics' Choice Award for nominated for Critics' Choice Award for Best Foreign Language Film. I'll talk about the Critics' Choice Awards a little bit later down the line. That's kind of cool that worked out for them. Jordan Peele's next film is set to debut Christmas 2024. Again, no one really knows much about it, but Jordan Peele is one of those guys who has pretty much come on strong. He's a comedian who came on strong with 3 really good horror-esque sort of movies, and he's got a 4th one due out Christmas 2024 to go up against Nosferatu, which is going to make Christmas be interesting in 2024. But don't we already have enough horror Christmas movies? And here's another one. Santa Isn't Real is a new Christmas horror film. We got the trailer for that. It's come out on like the Shudder channel or whatever, but it's about a serial killer in a Santa Claus mask who goes around and killing people depending if they're not naughty or nice. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have finally landed in Fortnite. You can get all 4 of the turtles have skins now, as does April O'Neil. I bought all of them. They're going to set you back about 5,200 V-Bucks, which is a lot, which is more than you can get 5,000 V-Bucks for about $40. So that's not even going to be enough unless you have 200 sitting around. But I did get some more like that. Also, Winterfest has started in Fortnite, the Christmas event. It's okay, nothing spectacular. And the Pokemon, as I said, Christmas event is also due to start this week as well. Good Omens with David Tennant and Michael Sheen. Michael Sheen, forget his name, is set to come back for a 3rd season, which will be its final season. Again, this sort of makes me question some things also because Neil Gaiman co-wrote, I forget the writer right now, Terry Pratchett co-wrote Good Omens with Terry Pratchett. And the first season of it was the adaptation of the book. Then they wanted a 2nd season since the first season was successful. And Neil said, I really can't do it without Terry. But then he discovered that he had some notes that the 2 of them were discussing before Terry Pratchett passed away about a sequel to Good Omens. So Gaiman extended it on it and expanded on it. And that was the 2nd season of Good Omens, which did very well. So I don't know what they're going to do for a 3rd season. If Gaiman wants to keep Pratchett involved, even though he passed away, do they have another idea set in stone, or is this just going to be Neil Gaiman saying the best I can do is in order to honor Terry is to keep this going for 1 more season? Don't know, but it is going to get 1 more season as well. Patrick Wilson, the actor, is now going to become a Broadway producer. He's going to be producing, well, not Broadway yet, but he's going to be producing the Lost Boys stage musical based on the Joel Schumacher vampire movie that starred Kiefer Sutherland and the Coreys. So there's going to be a musical version of the Lost Boys, and Patrick Wilson will be producing it. So that'd be interesting to see. Mark Wahlberg is finally going to be able to make his $6 billion Man remake that he's been trying to get done for years now. Now he's going to be able to do it. Because of the success of Barbie, the American Girl doll is going to produce a movie for their American Girl doll stuff. Seems like a bad idea, but that's just me. Costco has a Christmas tree-shaped cheesecake. So if you need something special for your Christmas holiday, that would be a good thing to do. Old Bay is now joined forces with a garlic butter company to create Old Bay garlic butter. Sounds like an interesting flavor there. Okay. Amelia Rules, which is a very great graphic novel for all ages, written and drawn by Jimmy Gownley, And one of my favorites. I started reading it back at the turn of the century, and then I got all the books. And then when my daughter was learning how to read and getting up, I lent her those, and she read them over and over again, and absolutely loved them also. And it's a great story. So I gotta check. I gotta look into this myself. But the first volume had a Christmas storyline in it, which is a wonderful, wonderful Christmas story. Amelia rules basically about a young girl whose parents are divorced, who just got divorced, I should say. They've been living in New York, and now they are moving to that. Now the mom has custody, and the dad does see her on weekends and stuff like that, and visits and stuff like that, and has to pay child support and stuff like that. The mother is taking her up to live with the mother's sister, who is a successful musician, who was a successful musician in the 80s and 90s, and so is living off her royalties. And I think it's up in Connecticut or something like that. And so she's able, and her father is staying in New York City. He created a cartoon series that had become a huge draw for merchandising and stuff like that. So he's fairly well off. So it's just her, being a newly divorced parents, moving away from her friends and her dad in New York City up to Connecticut or whatever to live with her aunt, who is successful because her mom doesn't have a job and stuff like that, and needs to make her own money and stuff like that. And when she goes up there, she gets a group of friends and hangs out with them. It's about their adventures. And the Christmas episode of the story in the first trade paperback details how early on Amelia is using the guilt of the divorce to clean up with presents at Christmas time, getting her parents to outdo each other in the gift giving stuff. But she ends up having to learn the true meaning of Christmas once one of her friends, Pajama Man, who doesn't speak and is poor, desperately wants an action figure more than anything and asks Santa for it. And Amelia feels bad for him, and she actually gets the present and ends up deciding to give it to him so to keep Christmas spirit alive, stuff like that. It's a wonderful story, and apparently they created a musical 5-part series on YouTube. I guess it's animated, I would assume, with Jimmy Gownley writing the scripts for the 5 episodes and Michael Cohen doing the music. So I'm actually gonna let me just verify that. I do want to watch them, so I just want to see if it's actually Amelia Rules a very ninja Christmas. Oh, it's a live action one. Oh, that's interesting. It's live action. Oh, I definitely gonna have to check that out now.
You should ask me these things before I've had 3 eggnogs.
It's like a theater production because the background looks like you do something in the theater. Yeah, so that looks. I'm gonna check that. So it's live action version of it. So looks kind of good. So I'll check that out. So definitely worthwhile to check out. More NFL news. Justin Herbert, who is the Chargers quarterback, their coach and GM, just got fired, but he is also now out for the season. He broke his finger in the same game, and the game that Sunday before the Thursday night game, and he's out for the season. That makes the guy who started for them, I forget the guy's name, was Simple Stample, something like that, the 54th different starting quarterback in the NFL, which has never happened because so many of them have hurt themselves or have been benched because they suck. So that's crazy. Scientists have discovered the Pikachu woodpecker. It is a woodpecker all yellow with the little red dots that look like Pikachu's cheek things. They have discovered it. It's a rare one. I guess they've discovered it. They've finally got pictures of it. They knew it's out there, but they finally have some pictures of it. So that's kind of cool. Scientists have also discovered a dolphin with thumbs, which could be the start of new evolution coming up here. Now, evolution takes millions of years to happen, but if you're going to start seeing dolphins with thumbs, before you know it, they're going to start having fingers and things are going to get really, really crazy. But that's still thousands of years down the road. But still, the fact that they spotted one that has thumbs is kind of interesting when it comes to evolution. One of the things that I don't know why I get sucked into this, but checking out TikToks and Reels and stuff like that, where conspiracy theorists go off on all kinds of things. I'm going to give you two examples, both of which sort of popped up this week. The first one is the most egregious of them all. Now, the one conspiracy theory going around now is that the way things were many, many years ago, Antarctica was actually a jungle. That is proven fact. But we had a pole shift at some point and it froze over and we have the Antarctica we have now. However, people keep claiming that scientists or whatever have discovered strange statues, buildings, pyramids, UFO crash sites, strange creatures, giant spiders. Everything under the sun has been thrown out about what's happening in Antarctica. And there's these fake pictures of a giant spider attacking people on the ice floe of Antarctica and stuff like that. And there's ancient cities and the hollow earth, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, this new thing had a NASA scientific group going out, trekking into the deepest parts of the Antarctic and looking for these lost civilizations and lost animals and creatures. And there are all these pictures of the NASA scientists, whatever, in the deep Antarctic mountains, discovering, standing in front of giant, statues and buildings and monsters that shouldn't, the bones of monsters that shouldn't exist, and blah, 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 blah. And they said, yeah, this is proof that something's going on because this, these are pictures. It's bright out. It's daylight. They're out there. You can see everything. It's not darkness. They're out there at light in Antarctica. They said, yeah, this group is out in July discovering, all this ancient civilization stuff. Where's the problem with that statement? These moronic people who create these conspiracy theories and Photoshop these pictures and stuff like that, when they mentioned that it was a group that went into, these pictures are from a group that went into the mountains in July in Antarctica. This is why uneducated people are killing us and why these conspiracy theories happen. Antarctica is in the middle of Antarctic night in July. The seasons are flipped, my friend. July is winter in Antarctica. There is going to be no groups going out into the Antarctic in July looking for giant monsters and ancient civilizations because the temperature is fucking as cold as outer space and Mars. It's negative 60, 80 degrees, negative 60 degrees, negative 80 degrees out, blowing storms. It's 24-hour fucking night. So these pictures that you have of the crew in this July tour group taking pictures in front of ancient civilizations in the Antarctic in July with light sources and the sun, stuff like that, is bullshit because there is no light in Antarctica in fucking July. Or if there is, it's very minimal and very twilight. And that's besides the point. You're not going to send a crew out into the middle of fucking nowhere in the middle of the coldest part of the Antarctic year. You might have had more belief if you said, yeah, this was in January, when it's actually summer in Antarctica, which is just a little bit like winter here on the East Coast. Summer is in January in Antarctica. January, December through March is summer in Antarctica. 24-hour light. If you would have said, hey, these groups went out during that time, then maybe I could believe this. I still wouldn't because I don't think it's true. But you fucking lied when you said it was a July group. And you said Antarctic, not Arctic. If you said Arctic, well, then you can believe that because the Arctic is in our hemisphere and it's fucking summer in July in the Arctic. But you said Antarctic in July. And the pictures of sunlight and these things in July of Antarctica is bullshit. And then you go on and throw your next conspiracy theory out that there is a family of megalodons living in the Marianas Trench and NASA knows about it. No, there is no family living in the Marianas Trench. And no, NASA did not discover a live megalodon. No and no. These conspiracy theorists are so fucking stupid, and there's something new every fucking day. Moving on. Overrated. In-N-Out Burger is a California burger chain, which everybody salivates over, saying it's the best burgers in the country. I went out. I've had them before. They're average burgers. They're get that type of burger anywhere else. There is nothing special about In-N-Out. It tastes like any other fast food burger, to me anyway. But to a lot of people, it is an insane. They are the greatest hamburgers of all time. I think the California folk particularly are very proud of that fact. It ain't true, though. You are hugely overrated. But because it is In-N-Out, because the name recognition, because the discussion that it is the greatest hamburgers of all time, In-N-Out has finally decided to move east a little bit, not by much, by a little bit. They opened their first In-N-Out restaurant in Idaho. The drive-through on its first day of being open was an 8-hour fucking wait for a fucking In-N-Out burger, which is not anything special. Just like Five Guys. Five Guys is good. I don't think it's particularly special. I think that's overrated also. They have good French fries. But again, how are you going to make a hamburger special? There is no fucking way you can. And it tastes like any other hamburger you get at any other location. But an 8-hour wait for an overrated hamburger? Well, it is Idaho. Boise's gorgeous. I've been looking. I've looked at pictures of it many times. My cousin lives in Idaho, but they are morons. They are Trumpers, and they are a big state. They have a bigger sway in the Electoral College, despite the fact that they have less people living there than Maryland does, which is one of the smallest states in the union and doesn't have an electoral college presence, as a very minimal one, whereas Idaho's is a lot bigger. There's all a bunch of bullshit, and also why electoral college should go the way of the dodo and disappear forever from my fucking life. Anniversaries, part 2, Miss Congeniality, the wonderful Sandra Bullock, 23 years ago this week. Also 23 years, no, I'm sorry. I thought it was another 23 years ago. So that was actually 23 years ago. Along with, Requiem for a Dream, Dude, Where's My Car, and Miss Congeniality all opened on the same day. That's fucking insane. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, the great Michael Caine, Steve Martin, Glenn Headley, comedy directed by Frank Oz, came out 35 years ago this week. Not the best Tim Burton movie, but there are certain fun aspects of it. Mars Attacks came out 27 years ago this week. I remember seeing it at the Timonium 3 when it came out 27 years ago, and I was the only person in the theater. One of my favorite movies of all time, and one of my wife's favorite movies of all time. And I thought this debuted earlier, but I guess not. Clue debuted 38 years ago this week. The wonderful 3-ending Tim Curry film came out 38 years ago. I saw that in the movie theater also down at Harbor. When Harbor had Harbor, I forget what it's called. It's not Harbor East because that's the name of the theater now, but the Harbor 7 or whatever. And we got to see that movie in the movie theater, which is really cool. Here's another one I didn't think came out this late in the year, but it did. Steven Spielberg is back with Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Came out 46 years ago this week. I was not aware. I thought it came out again, like in the summer or the fall, whatever. Speaking of Spielberg, his What If Peter Pan movie, Peter Pan Grew Up movie with Robin Williams and Dustin Hoffman, came out 32 years ago this week. The Three Amigos, Chevy Chase, Steve Martin, and Martin Short, came out 37 years ago this week. I saw that with my mom at the Timonium. Oh, no, I saw that one at York Ridge. That's right. 37 years ago. Show Me the Money! Jerry Maguire came out 27 years ago this week. Oculus came out 10 years ago this week, which was the beginning of the Mike Flanagan era. The guy who's gone on to do The Haunting of Hill House and Gerald's Game and a whole bunch of other stuff. Came out 10 years ago. And the video game Doom came out 30 years ago this week. Wonderful game. Loved it. Loved playing it. That's great. So next batch of anime. I still have not so many here. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 more anniversaries left to go. And about a page and a half left of stuff. And we're at the hour, 17 minutes. That's good. We should get done in a good amount of time. Probably next about 30 minutes, if that. Probably less than that. Probably 20 minutes. Let's just say about an hour, 40 minutes this episode's going to be. So, it actually might be more because we're now getting into the nomination stuff. We're not going to get there just yet, though. The Salem's Lot remake, which looked pretty good, actually, and I thought would probably, horror, it's a cheap, easy moneymaker. It's got name recognition. I think you drop it in the movie theaters in a January or, September or something like that. You can make some decent bank on it. Yeah, no, they're not going to do that. They're going to release it directly to Max and not in movie theaters. I think you should release it in movie theaters at least just for give people a chance here. Miyazaki's most recent film, The Boy and the Heron, and Godzilla -1 both ruled the box office this week in a first that's never happened, where Japanese import movies were 2 of the top 5 movies in the United States box office, including The Boy and His Heron was number 1 last week in the United States, which is absolutely insane. And the Godzilla -1 movie, instead of it being reduced in the number of theaters after it had a few debuts, it extended the number of theaters and still made money on that. So that's insane. A critically endangered Sumatran rhino welcomed her first calf, so that's amazing. They're starting to get the return of that. Grilled ice cubes with cumin and chili. I've never seen anything like that, and I'm not exactly sure how the ice cube did not melt on the grill, but there's shots of a guy cooking ice cubes and slathering it with cumin and chili sauce. And I have no idea. And there's a fire underneath, and it's on the grill. And it's grilled ice cubes. What the frig, man? So weird. Letterkenny, the great Canadian comedy, is coming to an end after 12 seasons. The final season trailer debuted this week as well. It looks like there's going to be a massive, what do they call it? Throwdown or rumble or whatever that's going to end the series here. This is good news because I liked this show. I liked how it ended. And yeah, it had some weak episodes and there were some, and it got a little crazy. They didn't answer all the questions. I thought the final season was a little weak, but it had some interesting aspects to it. Lost, the absolute great supernatural thriller drama, whatever you want to call it. Great show that lasted, 5-6 seasons. And my wife and I enjoyed most of the episodes. I think we watched most of them. I don't think we watched all of them, but we watched most of them. I think we dropped a lot of the fourth season one, the third season one. I think we missed a few of those and got caught at the tail end of it. It's coming to Netflix next year. So I might have to grab my daughter and say, hey, your mom and I used to watch this before you guys were born. You might enjoy this, or it was right when they were babies too. So you might enjoy this too. Now she's old enough to appreciate it. Trailer for a movie called Civil War, directed by Eric Garland. It basically says, what if Texas and California joined forces and declared war on the United States? It never happened because Texas and California are way different, but it's a Civil War movie, a present day Civil War movie. So whatever. Gigantic skull of a sea monster was discovered in a cliff off the coast of England. So a gigantic skull of a sea monster from the dinosaur eras was discovered in these cliffs, which is really, really kind of cool, actually. Two for the Money, Daniel Craig and Charlize. I thought I mentioned this last week, but they got the actual name for it now. It's called Two for the Money. Daniel Craig and Charlize Theron will be joining forces in a thriller from Justin Lin. So the name, I think the main news was the name Two for the Money. Batman apparently, and I actually kind of want to read it, actually, has a weekly book coming out in December where he joins forces with Santa Claus. And it's, in canon, and it's written by a not renowned, but a known comic book writer. And it's been getting a lot of good reviews where Batman and Santa Claus have teamed up to solve a crime. And apparently we learn in canon that Batman, during his 10 years abroad where he was learning from everybody, learned from Santa Claus also, which actually makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. It's up there with what John Byrne did with Santa Claus in the She-Hulk comic, where he made Santa Claus a private investigator because he can get into places that are locked. He knows when you're sleeping, knows when you're awake, blah, blah, blah. So I thought that's kind of a neat way to get Santa Claus into comic book stuff like that. A new rom-com series from Lena Dunham and her husband, Louis Felber, is coming to Netflix. Saw 11 is coming in September 2024 after the success of Saw 10. Blue Eye Samurai is getting a second season on Netflix as well. A Creature Was Stirring continues the horror Christmas sagas. This one is a creature feature set during Christmas. E3, which was a convention with a lot of electronics about computer games and computers and new, like VCRs and TV, stuff like that, that has been dissolved. There's going to be no longer any E3 conventions anymore as of now. Someone else may come along and restart it again, but as of now, E3 is no longer exists. Some football news. The NFL is set to play a regular season game in Brazil, in Rio, actually, in 2024. They've been trying to expand the NFL brand by playing games in Germany, Mexico City, England, Canada, and they're going to keep doing it till they can control the world. So I'm sure they're trying to figure out a way to do a game in Japan, because baseball has a series in Japan, during their regular season. Right now, the new thing right now is there's going to be two teams are going to be heading down to Brazil, Rio, to play a football game in 2024. And the NFL committee has given the Los Angeles' new stadium the 2027 Super Bowl. So the 2027 Super Bowl we played in Los Angeles. The Super Bowl will never, ever be played in Baltimore because it's a cold weather stadium. It does not have a dome. That's also why they never going to play in New York again. They did it 1 year due to the 9/11 stuff. They've never went to Washington, which they should have, because 9/11 affected them as well, but they never went to Washington. But again, open air, East Coast, chilly January, February weather would not be suitable for a Super Bowl game. It's also why the Baltimore did not get a expansion team in 94, because Jacksonville did, because they can play in Florida where it's not as cold in February. So you can play games in Florida or or cities that have domes like Louisiana and Texas and Minnesota and Indianapolis and Detroit. These all have domes. So, and then of course California, you can play up there at San Francisco Stadium. You can play it at Los Angeles Stadium. I don't think they have, but you could probably play at Seattle, though the weather up there is unpredictable. Arizona, the Super Bowl last year was at Arizona. So, you got all kinds of stuff. So, not expected. The Princess Bride is actually getting an action figure set from the reaction figure people. So they actually look pretty good. They're pretty decent looking action figures. Uncharted 2, the Tom Holland adaptation of the video game is getting a sequel. Uncharted 2, the script is done. It's just a matter of getting the stuff into production. So we'll be seeing that in the near future. Damsel with Millie Bobby Brown will be coming to Netflix on March 8th, 2024. That actually looks like a pretty interesting movie. Palm Royale, don't know if it's a movie or a TV series. Is going to be on Apple TV starting March 20th with Kristen Wiig, Ricky Martin, Carol Burnett, Amber Sharday, Robin, and Kaya Gerber. First look at that came in there. What If Season 2 trailer debuted this week. The What If is the animated Marvel saga, and it is set to debut on later this week, the 22nd of December on Disney Plus. Andrew Scott, we had the first look of Andrew Scott as Ripley in Netflix's adaptation of The Talented Mr. Ripley, and they're making it into a series. Did not know they were doing that. They've already made a movie about it, but now they're going to make a series with it, and we have a new Ripley. Matt Damon played Ripley in The Talented Mr. Ripley. I think Jude Law played an older Ripley in a different movie because it's a series of novels with Ripley in it. Speaking of Disney Plus, Black Panther animated series was announced, as is Spider-Man Freshman Year. Got a new name. I don't remember what the name of it was, but those both are supposed to be released in 2024. So obviously they knew that the Black Panther movie was coming. It takes a while to do that stuff. A cosmic nuclear fission was seen for the first time by scientists. They knew it existed, but they'd never seen it before, but they now seen it here. Local news, we got snow here in Reisterstown on Monday. It was a warm day last Sunday, about 60 some degrees, and we had not as much rain as I thought we were going to get. They originally said we were going to get drowned, but we actually really didn't get too much rain. We got some, but we had some heavy patches here and there. But the cold front came through overnight Monday and Sunday night into Monday, and I remember getting up about 3 a.m. because I had to go to the bathroom. And I always whenever I go in the bathroom at 3 a.m., I just look outside for whatever reason, because we have our window there that looks out to the front of the house. And it looked like a blizzard. The entire road was covered in snow. All the cars were covered in snow. Sidewalk was covered in snow. Grass was covered in snow. And it was coming down. I mean, it was like, I was like, holy shit, we're going to get a ton of snow here. And maybe I might not have to go to work. 2 hours later, 5 o'clock, I look out again. The road is completely clear. Sidewalks are completely clear. The road, the cars are starting to not be much as covered because the temperature was warm. Even though we had snow, it was so much snow that the warmth did not have, it wasn't like warm, but it was above freezing. But it was enough, it was cold enough that we could get snow. But the temperature started going up and got above freezing, so they started to melt. And so it turned out that in the end, it didn't really last too long, but it was still quite a sight to see after having no snow whatsoever last year, see a massive snowstorm. Now, what's interesting is that there is a very similar storm system rolling through here again tomorrow. Rather, it is today now since it's after midnight. But it's a little bit different because last week started early in the day and went and was over by, turning from rain to snow, and then everything ended about early on Monday. This is actually going to be a bit different story. As of now, the rain is not scheduled to hit until 12 p.m. Well, I guess that's still about normal. I guess from what I see before, it used to be later in the day, but the higher chances of rain are going to be later in the day. The temperature is still going to be 53 going to 1 a.m. So I do not think we are going to be getting any snow on the tail end of this one because the temperatures for Sunday is 54, temperatures for Monday are 53. The temperatures at 3 a.m., at 1 a.m. is 53 degrees and rain. So it looks like we're going to get a lot of rain this time. The cold air is coming in after Monday, though. Monday looks like we might still get almost all-day rain. So we might get some snow Monday into Tuesday. So what that says to me is that weather has a distinct memory. So this is our second storm in a row where the storm is following sort of the same trek, just a little later in the day. Excuse me. A little bit different than before, but it's still following a similar trek, which gives, like we call, weather memory. So this winter, we may get a lot of storms in the same format. And if it gets cold enough, we could get a heck of a lot of snow in these storms. So that's to be continued. And we'll see about that. So that's kind of crazy here. Some football news real quick. All right, I did that one already. Justin Tucker, the Ravens kicker, who 2 weeks ago, after missing a couple field goals, dropped from being the most accurate kicker presently in the NFL by about a 1 percentage point. Well, this past Sunday, he made 3 of 3 field goals that put him back over the top. He is now the top kicker again with a 90% accuracy rate. Let's do some deaths and announcements real quick, and then I'll do all these nomination things. There's a lot here. Anniversaries: The Toy, 41 years ago, the Richard Pryor, Jackie Gleason movie. A Few Good Men, 31 years ago. Didn't know that came out this late in the year, but that Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson, Demi Moore, Kevin Bacon, Kevin Dunn, Kevin, the guy who was in Usual Suspects. It's not Kevin Dunn. Maybe it is Kevin Dunn. No, it's not Kevin Dunn. Regardless, that came out. Kevin Pollak, that's what it was. Kevin Pollak. Death: Ian Gibson. He is a Halo Jones, Robo Hunter, and Mr. Miracle artist, passed away this week. And Frank Wycheck, the Tennessee Titans player who also went to the University of Maryland football team, he passed away this week as well. All right, it is award season, and the Golden Globes and the AFI and the Critics' Choice Awards are announced stuff. So let's do the Golden Globe Awards real quick. There's going to be a ton of them, so let me just see. I'm going to run through them real quick. Golden Globe nominations. All right, movies. Best Motion Picture Drama: Anatomy of a Fall, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, The Zone of Interest. Best Motion Picture Musical or Comedy: Air, American Fiction, Barbie, The Holdovers, May, December, Poor Things. Best Performance by a Female Actor in a Motion Picture Drama: Annette Bening, Nyad, Lily Gladstone, Killers of the Flower Moon, Sandra Hüller, Anatomy of a Fall, Greta Lee, Past Lives, Carey Mulligan, Maestro, Kaylee Spaney, Priscilla. Best Performance by a Female Actor in a Motion Picture Musical or Comedy: Fantasia Barrino, The Color Purple, Jennifer Lawrence, No Hard Feelings, Natalie Portman, May, December, Alma Poisti, Fallen Leaves, Margot Robbie, Barbie, Emma Stone, Poor Things. Best performance by a male actor in a motion picture drama: Bradley Cooper, Maestro; Leonardo DiCaprio, Killers of the Flower Moon; Coleman Domingo, Rustin; Barry Keoghan, Saltburn; Cillian Murphy, Oppenheimer; Andrew Scott, All of Us Strangers. Best performance by a male actor in a motion picture, musical, or comedy: Nicolas Cage, Dream Scenario; Timothée Chalamet, Wonka; Matt Damon, Air; Paul Giamatti, The Holdovers; Joaquin Phoenix, Beau is Afraid; Jeffrey Wright, American Fiction. Best performance by a female actor in a supporting role in any motion picture: Emily Blunt, Oppenheimer; Danielle Brooks, The Color Purple; Jodie Foster, Nyad; Julianne Moore, May December; Rosamund Pike, Saltburn; Divine, Joy Randolph, The Holdovers. Best performance by a male actor supporting role in any motion picture: Willem Dafoe, Poor Things; Robert De Niro, Killers of the Flower Moon; Robert Downey Jr., Oppenheimer; Ryan Gosling, Barbie; Charles Melton, May December; Mark Ruffalo, Poor Things. Best director motion picture: Bradley Cooper, Maestro; Greta Gerwig, Barbie; Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things; Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer; Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon; Celine Song for Past Lives. Best screenplay motion picture: Barbie, Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach; Poor Things, Tony McNamara; Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan; Killers of the Flower Moon, Eric Roth and Martin Scorsese; Past Lives, Celine Song; Anatomy of a Fall, Justine Triet and Arthur Harriott. Original score motion picture: Poor Things, Oppenheimer, Boy and the Heron, The Zone of Interest, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Killers of the Flower Moon. Best original song: Addicted to Romance, Dance the Night, I'm Just Ken, Peaches, Road to Freedom, What Was I Made For. Best motion picture animated: Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Super Mario Brothers movie, Suzumi, Wish. Best motion picture non-English language: Anatomy of a Fall, Fallen Leaves, Lo Capitano, Past Lives, Society of the Snow, The Zone of Interest. Cinematic and box office achievement, which is a new category this year: Barbie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, John Wick Chapter 4, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Oppenheimer, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, and Super Mario Brothers movie. Television: Best television series drama: 1923, The Crown, The Diplomat, The Last of Us, The Morning Show, Succession. Best television show, musical, or comedy: Abbott Elementary, Barry, The Bear, Jury Duty, Only Murders in the Building, Ted Lasso. Best television limited series, anthology series, or motion picture made for television: All the Light We Can See, Beef, Daisy Jones and the Six, Fargo, Fellow Travelers, Lessons in Chemistry. Best performance by a female actor in a TV series drama: Helen Mirren, Bella Ramsey, Carrie Russell, Sarah Snook, Imelda Staunton, Emma Stone. Best performance by a male actor in a television series: Brian Cox, Kieran Culkin, Gary Oldman, Pedro Pascal, Jeremy Strong, Dominic West. Best performance by a female actor in a television series, musical, or comedy: Rachel Brosnahan, Quinta Brunson, Ayo Edebiri, Elle Fanning, Selena Gomez, Natasha Lyonne. Ooh, good for Poker Face. Best performance by a male actor in television series, musical, or comedy: Bill Hader, Steve Martin, Jason Segel, Martin Short, Jason Sudeikis, Jeremy Allen White. Best performance by a female actor in a supporting role in television: Elizabeth Debicki, Abby Elliott, Christina Ricci, J. Smith Cameron, Meryl Streep, Hannah Waddingham. I think with that, Meryl Streep's nomination for Best Supporting Role, she surpassed her number of Golden Globes nominations. Best performance by a male actor supporting role in television: Billy Crudup, Matthew McFadden, James Marsden, Eben Moss Bacharach, Alan Ruck, Alexander Skarsgård. We're not going to go. Just real quick. Best performance by a female actor in a limited series, anthology series, motion picture made for television: Riley Keough, Brie Larson, Elizabeth Olsen, Juno Temple, Rachel Weisz, Ali Wong. Best performance by a male actor: blah blah blah. Matt Boomer, Sam Claflin, John Hamm, Woody Harrelson, David Oyelowo, and Stephen Yeun. And that's all I'm going to do. The rest is just blah. So. That was that one real quick. That's a lot for Golden Globes done. So we'll move on from that. And then that was the Golden Globes. So some good stuff there. Barbie got a bunch of nominations. Oppenheimer did as well. So that's good, some stuff. The AFI top 10 movies. AFI top 10 movies. Oh, for 2023, dumbass. The 2023 honorees include Summer Smash Hits, Barbie and Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, May December, American Fiction, Holdovers, Poor Things, and Past Lives. So those are the best. I don't know if that's actually awards, but just the nominations for the best stuff. So Barbie and Oppenheimer look like they're going to be battling it out again all through award season here. All right, let's roll through these again here. I got a couple more. I need to hit the Critics' Choice Awards. The list anywhere. All right. Best picture for these are the Critics' Choice Awards. Best picture: American Fiction, Barbie, Color Purple, Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, Saltburn. Best actor: Bradley Cooper, Leonardo DiCaprio, Coleman Domingo, Paul Giamatti, Cillian Murphy, Jeffrey Wright. Seen a lot of all those names. Best actress: Lily Gladstone, Sandra Hüller, Greta Lee, Carey Mulligan, Margot Robbie, Emma Stone. That's again almost same as Golden Globes. Best supporting actor: Sterling K. Brown. Ooh. Robert De Niro, Robert Downey Jr., Ryan Gosling, Charles Melton, Mark Ruffalo. Again, a lot of the same stuff. Best supporting actress: Emily Blunt, Danielle Brooks, America Ferrera. That's a good one. Jodie Foster, Julianne Moore, Divine Joy Randolph. Best young actor, actress: Abby Ryder Forston for Are You There, God It's Me, Margaret. Ariana Greenblatt for Barbie. Kala Lee Lane for Wonka. Milo Machado Granner for Anatomy of a Fall. Dominic Sessa for The Holdovers. Madeline Yuna Voiles for The Creator. Best Acting Ensemble: Air, Barbie, Color Purple, Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer. Best Director: Bradley Cooper, Greta Gerwig, Yorgos Lanthimos, Christopher Nolan, Alexander Payne, Martin Scorsese. Again, these are all pretty much going to be your nominees for like basically everything. Best Original Screenplay: Sammy Birch for May December, Alex Convery for Air, Bradley Cooper and Josh Singer for Maestro, Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach for Barbie, David Hemmingson for The Holdovers, Celine Song for Past Lives. Best Adapted Screenplay: ooh, because they can both win now. Kelly Freeman Craig, Are You There, God It's Me, Margaret. Andrew Hay, All of Us Strangers. Cord Jefferson, American Fiction. Tony McNamara, Poor Things. Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer. Eric Roth and Martin Scorsese, Killers of the Flower Moon. Best Cinematography: Matthew Libatique for Maestro. Rodrigo Prieto for Barbie. Rodrigo Prieto for Killers of the Flower Moon. Robbie Ryan, Poor Things. Linus Sandgren for Saltburn. Hoyt van Hoytema for Oppenheimer. Best Production Design: Susie Davis, Charlie Drickles for Saltburn. I'll just read the names there. Saltburn, Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Barbie, Poor Things, Asteroid City. Ooh, interesting. Best Editing: Air, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro. Best Costume Design: Barbie, Wonka, The Color Purple, Poor Things, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon. Best Hair and Makeup: Barbie, Color Purple, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Priscilla. Best Visual Effects: The Creator, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Best Comedy: American Fiction, Barbie, Bottoms, The Holdovers, No Hard Feelings, Poor Things. Best Animated Feature: Boy This Heron, Elemental, Nimona. Ooh. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, and Wish. Best Foreign Language Film: Anatomy of a Fall, Godzilla -1, Perfect Days, Society of the Snow, The Taste of Things, A Zone of Interest. Best Song: Dance the Night, Barbie, I'm Just Ken, Barbie, Peaches, Super Mario Brothers Movie, Road to Freedom, Rustin, This Wish, What Was I Made For, Barbie. God, Barbie had 3 nominees there. Best Score: Poor Things, Society of the Snow, Oppenheimer, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Barbie. So that's all that. And I don't think I'm going to do the Saturn ones. Let's just see what the Saturn ones are. Saturn Awards are the more science fiction oriented ones. Saturn Awards nominations. Let's just see these real quick. So actually going to go longer than usual. No, don't do that. So this is all science fiction and fantasy stuff. So this is kind of interesting to me too. These are Saturn Awards. The best science fiction film: Avatar: Way of Water, The Creator, Megan, Prey, Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. Best fantasy film: Barbie, Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, Haunted Mansion, Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny, The Little Mermaid. Best horror film: Barbarian, Evil Dead Rise, Insidious, The Red Door, Renfield, Scream 6, Smile, Talk to Me. Best superhero film: Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Blue Beetle, The Flash, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So I guess they're using some stuff from last year too. Best action adventure film: Bullet Train, Equalizer 3, Fast X, John Wick Chapter 4, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, The Woman King. Best thriller movie: Don't Worry Darling, Glass Onion, and Knives Out. Yeah, they're doing from last year as well. Glass Onion and Knives Out mystery. I guess maybe their window is like November is where it cuts off. So all these came out in like December. It's good. Don't Worry Darling, Glass Onions and Knives Out mystery, The Lesson, The Menu, Knock at the Cabin, Oppenheimer. Best animated film: Elemental, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Super Mario Brothers movie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. Best actor in a film: Ralph Fiennes, The Menu, Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny, Ben Kingsley, Jules, Cillian Murphy, Oppenheimer, Chris Pratt, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Keanu Reeves, John Wick Chapter 4, Sam Worthington, Avatar: Way of Water. Best actress in a film: Viola Davis, The Woman King, Mia Goth for Pearl, Anya Taylor-Joy for The Menu, Amber Mid-Thunder for Prey, Margot Robbie for Barbie, Zoe Saldana, Avatar: The Way of Water. Best supporting actor in a film: Nicolas Cage, Renfield, Robert Downey Jr., Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling, Barbie, Michael Keaton, The Flash, Stephen Lang, Avatar: The Way of Water, Mads Mikkelsen, Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny. Best supporting actress in a film: Angela Bassett, Black Panther, Emily Blunt, Oppenheimer, Jane Curtin, Jules, Melissa McCarthy, Little Mermaid, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny, Sophie Wilde, Talk to Me. Best younger performer in a film: Halle Bailey for Little Mermaid, Vivian Lyra Blair for The Boogeyman, Jane Chapman for Avatar: Way of Water, Jack Chapman, excuse me, Zolo Marduena for Blue Beetle, Violet McGraw for Megan, Noah Schnapp for The Tutor. Best film direction: James Cameron, Avatar: Way of Water, Greta Gerwig, Barbie, James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, James Mangold, Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny, Mark Mylod, The Menu, Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer, and the Philippou brothers for Talk to Me. Best film screenwriting: Avatar, Barbie, Menu, Mission Impossible, Oppenheimer, Pearl. Best film music: Avatar, Barbie, Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny, Little Mermaid, Renfield, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Pemberton. I'm sorry, he's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Best film makeup: The Covenant, Evil Dead Rise, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Oppenheimer, Prey, Renfield. Best film editing: Avatar, Fast X, Indiana Jones, John Wick, Mission Impossible, Oppenheimer. Best film production design: Avatar, Barbie, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, John Wick, Oppenheimer, Renfield. Best film costume: Avatar, Barbie, Black Panther, Guardians of the Galaxy, Indiana Jones, Oppenheimer. Best film visual special effects: Avatar, Creator, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Indiana Jones, Mission Impossible, Oppenheimer. Best independent film: Aporia, Brooklyn 45, Fall, Jules, Pearl, The Tutor. Best international film: Madeline Collins, Missing, The Origin of Evil, Ransom, Speak No Evil, Sue. Television, science fiction television series: Andor, Foundation, Mandalorian, Peripheral, Silo, Star Trek Picard, Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Best fantasy television series: Ghost, Good Omens, House of the Dragon, Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, Mayfair Witches, Schmigadoon, Wednesday. Best horror television series: American Horror Story, Chucky, Fear the Walking Dead, From, Interview with the Vampire, The Last of Us, What We Do in the Shadows. Best superhero television series: Doom Patrol, Flash, Sandman, Secret Invasion, She-Hulk, Stargirl, Superman and Lois. Best action adventure thriller television series: La Brea, Manifest, Outlander, Quantum Leap, Jack Ryan, The Witchers, Yellow Jackets. Best television presentation: Black Mirror, Cabinet of Curiosities, Werewolf by Night, The Midnight Club, Mrs. Davis, The Munsters. Best animated television series or special: Chainsaw Man, Gremlins, Secrets of Mogwai, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Harley Quinn, My Adventures with Superman, Star Trek Lower Decks, Star Wars: The Bad Batch. Best new genre television series: Andor, The Ark, The Last of Us, Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, Silo, Walking Dead, Dead City, Wednesday. Best actor television series: Tyler Hoechlin, Sam Heughan, Diego Luna, Anson Mount, Pedro Pascal, Harold Perrineau, and Patrick Stewart. Best actor in television series: Kitronia Balfe, Laurie Cohen, Emma Darcy, Rebecca Ferguson, Tatiana Maslany, Rose McIver, Elizabeth Tulloch. Best Supporting Actor in Television Series, Jonathan Frakes, Harvey Guillen, Ernie Hudson, Ethan Peck, Ed Spielers, Matt Smith, Todd Stashwick. Best Supporting Actress, Jess Bush, Celia Rose, Genevieve O'Reilly, Jerry Ryan, Katie Sackhoff, Rebecca Wisowski, Sophie Skelton. Best Young Performer TV Series, Millie Alcock, Freya Allen, Zachary Arthur, Brick Bassinger, Jenna Ortega, Bella Ramsey, Igby Rigney. There's a lot more to go, so I'm not even going to go any further. Best guest star in a television series, Gail Garcia Bernal, Giancarlo Esposito, Nick Offerman, Amanda Plummer, Andy Serkis, Paul Wesley, Catherine Zeta-Jones. So yeah, we're just going to end there. Whew. So a lot of the same awards look like we're going to be seeing a lot of similar stuff that we're expecting. All right, so sorry it took so long, but let's blow through these real quick. Gen V is getting a season 2. We were kind of expecting that anyway. The Bike Riders is due to come out now, June 21st. Baby Buried with Care, 10,000 years ago, found in Italian caves. Squid Game, the challenge winner, says Netflix has not given him the $4.56 million that he won 10 months ago after the show ended, so he still hasn't gotten his money yet. My Hero Academia season 7 is set to premiere spring 2024. Sweatshirt cat pouch hoodie. It's a hoodie that you can put your cat in, and they have a little pouch. They stick the little head out, and you can carry them around with wherever you want to. USA Network wants to get back to creating original series again, like they used to. Galactic winds have been discovered to shred entire galaxies. That's pretty cool. So, anniversary for the last story of the day. Anniversary of the Green Mile came out 24 years ago this week, and Christine came out 40 years ago this week. Finally, the last story this week. Sorry, I went a little long because I had to do all the nominations, but woman videotapes her chickens, was videotaping her chickens when all of a sudden they all froze in place. Like there's a glitch in the matrix. They just froze and they weren't moving at all. All of them. For a few moments. It was the weirdest thing because, chickens are moving all the time. These were literally like they froze in their tracks. No one knows why or how that happened, but that is that. Whew. As I said, probably would have ended this earlier, but I had to do all the nominations. My biggest takeaway from the Golden Globes and the Critics' Choice Award nominations, the Saturn ones are different because that is actually looks like over a 2-year period. And it's more fantasy sci-fi. But from what I gathered, we pretty much have a look at what the Academy Awards are going to look like, give or take a few things here or there. So we'll see how close they are to get to that. We're not going to get the Academy Award nominations till January, so I'll have my show announce those as well. All right, that's it for today. It is now officially December 17th. It's actually 1 hour into December 17th. 1 week, 7 days to Christmas Eve. Next Sunday is Christmas Eve. So basically at this time, 7 days from now, it'll be Christmas Eve, and I'll be still doing the show from Saturday the 23rd to early on Christmas Eve. Christmas is only 8 days away. Year is going to end here in 15 days. So yeah, we're going to have 2 more episodes before of Dylan Knows before the end of the year. So 532 and 533, and then we will end the year 2023 as we enter 2024, which is going to be a interesting year, to say the least. And maybe not so fun. We get an extra day in the year. We have the presidential election. Easter is early. Thanksgiving is late. Christmas is in the middle of the week. Lots of movies because of the strikes and TV shows are going to be debuting in 2024. Actually, no, not as much 2024. 2025 is the big one. So 2024, we're going to have not as many. That's right, because of the production stuff like that, going into productions on that. All right, y'all. It is time for me to go. Have a great rest of your weekend. A lot of you, got about a week left of work. Some of you might already be off. Enjoy your time. Get your presents done. It's going to be a nice day tomorrow till the rain rolls in about noonish. It's going to still be warm with the rain in place, though, but the heaviest rain's not going to hit here till later in the day. And then most of the day Monday, and then a tail end of Monday, we'll get maybe some more snow here. So we'll see what happens. All right, y'all. I got to go. I got about an hour to decompress. My wife's going to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning because she's got to go into work for a little bit. All right, I'm done talking. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next week where we go the Christmas Eve episode of Dylan Knows. Take care.